Bryan Fischer is going to talk about the female view of sex, because of course he knows better than everybody else. This is beyond hilarious.
What contraception did, birth control pill, it removed procreation from the sex act. And it was a way to say you can have sex with no consequences. Now we know there are consequences. There are broken hearts. There are sexually transmitted diseases. There's no 100% surefire protection against pregnancy, so you're going to get unwanted crisis pregnancies. We know all that. But that was kind of the idea. Finally, you can have risk-free sex. And then what that meant, Shelley, if guys can have risk-free sex, they can have a girl on a pill, so she's not going to run the risk of getting pregnant. If she does get pregnant, he can take her for an abortion. Then he has no reason to commit himself to her. So the guy is the one who gets most of the benefits out of this, and the woman is the one who was left abused and misused, her body surgically invaded to remove a life in her. So it hasn't worked out to be sexually liberating for women at all.
Because there's no woman in the world who could ever actually enjoy having sex for the sake of having sex. I mean, clearly, it's obvious that anytime anybody ever has sex, it should be to create a baby, and that's it. That's what he's saying there. He's like, well, look, if you have sex and you have contraception or you take the pill or whatever, and you use condoms, come on, man. You broken hearts, STDs, babies are going to be born and stuff, and clearly the woman's going to have her heart broken, and that's a problem. Or maybe the overwhelming majority of the time in the world, in every nation on Earth, in every city on Earth, most of the sex that's had is not for procreation. Most of the sex that's had is pleasure fucking. Men enjoying it, women enjoying it. And I love the automatic assumption that, well, of course, there's either going to be an STD. Wait, what? Every time? That doesn't make sense. Or there's going to be an abortion and she's going to have her body surgically invaded, and then the woman's left, with a chalk outline on the floor like they do in the Law and Order, and she has her heart broken. What? Why does every sexual encounter lead to an STD? Or why does every sexual encounter lead to an abortion? Have you not heard of contraception working? The overwhelming majority of the time that it does? But his view there, really think about it, that's a traditional sexist view. That's an old school sexist view of the daughters, they certainly should never have sex for pleasure because, look, you're going to have the STDs, they're going to need to have an abortion, and they're going to get their hearts broken. Assumption after assumption after assumption, none of it based on fact. Sure, sometimes abortions happen, of course. Sometimes STDs get transmitted, sure. But the majority of the time, there are no STDs transmitted during sex, and the majority of the time, there aren't babies, the woman getting pregnant and then they get an abortion. Most of the time, people have sex, and there's contraception, whether it's a condom or the woman's using the pill or whatever, right? And then it is what it is. There's no negative consequences. In fact, it's a really, really good time. I would tell Bryan Fischer to look into that, but I'm pretty sure he's not into women the same way that I am.